always around us.
They're
always in the water.
How about from the, I guess, environment outside of the pond, outside of the treatment area? Any concerns as far as I think a lot of listeners might consider a frequency and the word sonic, and wondering, is there any kind of an impact to either the air, communications, anything like that might be of a negative impact?
No, as far as that's concerned, no. We have not heard of anything. I'm not aware of anything happening. But as far as the generating and sending out of the signal, all of that happens underwater. So
there wouldn't be a concern as far as it a communication issue with a cell phone in the area, or wireless networks or anything like that should not be of impact?
No, it would not be of any impact because everything happens underwater.
Okay. How about so leaving it in the if you're in a warmer climate, you could leave it in, but you may not have to run it 24/7, 365. Would that be correct, or would you recommend that it should run, and even in a warm climate, just keep it going even in the kind of the colder time of the year?
Well, I'd revert back to when the typical algae season is.
Yeah, that's true. Good point.
Yeah, I mean, definitely, absolutely have it running prior to the algae season. I would say about at least 4 weeks before you expect any algae problems, stick the device in, turn it on, and have it go. If your algae seasons are very predictable and you're out of your algae season, sure, take it out, unplug it, set it aside, put it in your garage, and put it back in before. It's something where, again, the people that I've talked to that have left it in running year-round are just thrilled at the quality of the water that they have. So you might see an improvement in the quality of the water by leaving it in year-round as opposed to taking it out and putting it back in just around the season time.
Okay. Now, there's one thing that I just thought of that I think is interesting, is that we've covered most of our conversation has been around the pond, the lake, an ornamental or a koi pond, those type of things. But and that's really on weedersdigest.com. That's really the majority of who we're working with. But there's two other extremes that I've seen that you can use this application in, and you've touched on very briefly. But from a swimming pool, which may be a small opportunity or small application, all the way up to wastewater. And to me, those are the extremes. You want crystal clear in one side, and people are in it. And wastewater, well, we don't need to go there, but it would seem to me that it's completely opposite. But you actually, and I don't think we need to spend much time on it, but you actually do have units that have an impact on both those, from whether it's I guess in both cases they could be a commercial use, a pool and wastewater. Tell me just a little more about that.
Yeah, the pool is an application that we haven't really pursued. It absolutely, you can do that. I've got a pool at my house. I use a very little amount of algicide, and I leave it at that. I don't use one of the devices in the pool. It's more an aesthetic thing for me. I don't want to have some cables coming into the pool, even though it's only 24 volts and it's no big deal. Just from an aesthetic point of view, I choose not to.
Can we go back to that point right there?
Yeah.
So could I actually swim right up to this if I was in a pool and not worry about getting shocked?
Yeah, absolutely.
So the 24 volts is not enough to even give me a concern about my kids swimming near it?
No,
Okay.
Not whatsoever. I mean, I'd be very happy to stand in a pool of water and grab the exposed wires coming out of our power supply down to our unit. It's only 24 volts. You'd feel, if you grabbed it and stood in the water, you'd feel a very, very mild tingle. But you can still hold on to the wires. Absolutely no issue whatsoever.
Okay. All right. Anyway, you can continue on. I just wanted to touch on that. But
well, that's an important thing for safety to keep in mind.
Yeah.
Getting over to the wastewater, we do have them in wastewater treatment plants, wastewater lagoons, and the sizing that I gave previously would not be applicable to a wastewater lagoon, primarily because there are more nutrients in a wastewater lagoon, naturally, than there would be in a pond that somebody may have at their house, just by the nature of the use of the lagoon.
Okay. But somehow the same unit, maybe not by size, but the same technology can treat everything from the pool to just keep it crystal clear, to the pond to keep it aesthetically looking good, all the way up to a wastewater treatment that has a very specific industrial purpose. All the way through, it's the same technology, it's the same units, just different levels of power to meet different, as you said, nutrient loads or size capabilities, correct?
You are absolutely correct in that, because basically it's the same technology. The ultrasonic waves are hitting the germinating algae spores and kind of convincing them that this is not an environment that they want to set up shop in, therefore no enzyme gets secreted. And that process can be repeated in a pool, in a small decorative pond, in someone's 2.5-acre pond in their yard, all the way up to a good-sized wastewater treatment. It's the same technology.
Okay. Well, Kirk, this has been very, very informative for me, and I know as well to our listeners. Is there anything else that would be important for you to add on your end?
I think you've done a great job. I think that everything that I wanted to point out has been pointed out. We've done size ponds anywhere from 1/4 of an acre up to the 27 acres in Lake Ketchum, Washington. And that's something that if I haven't sent that to you already, I'll send you the file on that too, Bruce, so that you have it.
And I do have that, and I could very easily forward that on to anybody that would request that information as well. It was a very interesting read. And on that note, 27 acres, and obviously there was a big investment made by the individuals, and there was a return on investment that played out. But is 27 acres as big as you would care to go, or if somebody actually wanted to go the process and be, let's call it a 30, 40 acre or even larger, would that be still, size doesn't sound like it matters.
Size doesn't matter. This is one of the times that it doesn't. But size really doesn't matter, because what we're doing with a larger body of water is we're simply putting more units into it for the coverage.
Okay.
One thing I want to point out, though, one question that I did receive is that I received an inquiry from somebody who said, well, we have a big 50-acre lake. And they said there's one end that the algae is always being blown into. Will this take care of algae that's being blown into that area? And at that point, I had to say it won't, because he wanted to put one device in that corner and have it control the algae. Well, that'll work for probably about 2 acres around the dock that wants to put it on, but he's got 48 other acres on that lake generating algae that are blowing into his corner. So in a situation like that, the only way to treat the algae in the pond is to put several devices around the pond to control the algae on the entire body of water, instead of trying to control the algae in one corner where everything is being blown into.
I'm glad you pointed that out, because I have 2 similar applications that I know we're going to be looking at. And I think one of the best things to do is to go to Google Earth and actually look at these applications. And I'll show you that, and we'll see if it's something that might work. Mm-hmm. But I think those are the type of questions that come up, is that, I'm in a small secluded bay, how can I solve my issue? Or I'm in the end of the lagoon, those type of things. Or how much water flow do you have? And those are the type of questions that we'll gladly take the calls and then get the information back. So, Kirk, I just want to thank you for your time today. And I think that what we have committed to do is to be able to answer the calls that come in, the emails that come in for additional information. And some of this information is beyond my ability, but that's why you're there, Kirk, for us, is to kind of be, we consider ourselves to be the help desk, but you can take us that next level. Mm-hmm. And the contact can just be made through myself, and we'll forward on. But we're at weedersdigest.com, so that's www.weedersdigest.com. Phone number is 763-551-1441. And, Kirk, I appreciate your time, and I'll look forward that we can help out some of our listeners in the future with their algae issues, in whether it's a pool, a pond, or a wastewater treatment. Thank you.
Thank you, Bruce. Look forward to the partnership.
Thank you. Have a great day.
You too.
Goodbye.